Five in the Dugout is sponsored by Woods Basement Systems.
Mike, right off the bat, Luken Baker, 3-run blast. What's a best case scenario for him? Is there a way he gets to the major league roster on opening day?
I think it's going to be a challenge only because of the fact Luken Baker is what you would call maybe a one-dimensional guy, where if you bring him up late in the game and you need a hit and he gets on base, you're going to have to have somebody's pinch run for him in order to try really advance him on a base hit. And I think when you burn 2 roster spots, when you only have 4 on your bench, that really can create some problems. He's swinging the bat well. There's no doubt about it. He hit a ball today that was into the wind. Well, it was against the wind, and it just carried over the fence. But he's had that sort of power. He hit 32 home runs last year in the minor leagues. But there are times where he can be a little bit challenged as far as with the pitch selection. But I think it's going to be a challenge, and a lot of things would have to happen for him to be able to make this roster. But you never know. I mean, it's very early in the games. You know, injuries take place, guys get hot, they automatically find a role for him. But if he could play another position and maybe was a little faster, maybe he would be more of an asset than what he is now.
All right, what about Jordan Walker? Had a big moment today. You've been watching him for most of the spring. What do you see from Jordan so far?
Well, a couple of things. His stance is a little different. He's not as open. That's the first thing, where his left foot isn't stepping out of the batter's box. His hands are a little lower, a little closer to his body, and he's hitting line drives, Frank. He's not just hitting balls on the ground anymore. He's hitting line drives, and he's going up the middle. His first base hit today, he went right back up the middle. The second at-bat that he had where he had the hit, it was a situation where a pitcher threw him a really good pitch that he didn't swing at, and he kind of backed off of it. 2 pitches later, he threw him the same pitch, and Jordan turned on and hit it down the line for a double that really gave the Cardinals a lead for the first time since the early innings.
There's a percentage of fans, when you mention the name Jordan Walker, they say disappointment. But Mike, how about his age?
Well, you throw that in the equation, and the fact that he's had to grow up in front of everyone. I mean, he was a very young man when he first started with the Cardinals. He made the position change and continues to work on that. It's a situation where he has so much upside. And I'll ask you this question, Frank. I asked Ricky Horton and Jason Isringhausen today. Has there ever been a bigger everyday player to fill out a Cardinal uniform? Now, you think about the rosters over the years. Has there anyone become 6'6", 255, perhaps 260 pounds?
Because Hayward wasn't that thick. He wasn't that big.
He was nowhere near that.
Yeah.
He was not that tall, not as tall as Walker either.
Wow, that's a great thought. All right, Tekoa Roby really looked good yesterday. 2 scoreless, 3 strikeouts, thrown in the mid-90s. What do we know about him?
Well, he's a young man who's dealt with injuries throughout his career. He's a person that has really good stuff. He can make you miss. And that's something the Cardinals are always looking for. But if he can stay healthy and just put some consecutive innings together, I think he's going to be in the discussion when it comes to putting this pitching staff together. You're going to need at least 18 and 19 pitchers throughout the season that are going to be able to help you win a series or win the season. And when you think about a guy like him, he's a guy that can come in and give you multiple innings, and I think that's what they're looking for from a number of their relievers. You're going to have the Memphis shuttle in full swing this year. Tekoa Roby might be on that shuttle himself.
Any idea if Victor Scott, who got a base hit yesterday, has made some strides offensively? Because I think a lot of us would love to see this dynamic defensive player with great speed and all this charisma be like an everyday player for the Cardinals.
You know, I really think that's the battle for the outfield position. I think Michael Ciani, Lars Nootbaar, you can see that he's made some significant adjustments about his swing, about his approach, and just his whole mindset. I think a lot of things were rushed at Victor Scott the second last year, and he's really kind of simplified things a lot more. He spent a majority of his time in Florida this offseason working with Brant Brown and everybody else, and you can see there's been some subtle adjustments about his game, his swing, his route on fly balls. You can definitely see there's a difference there. And I know working with Willie McGee from last year and now John Jay this year, 2 pretty good center fielders in their own right, you can start to see things start to matriculate for him. And I think he's going to be a guy that we're going to talk a lot more about in spring training than you think.
How committed are the Cardinals to letting Scott and Ciani battle it out for the starting center fielder spot? Or is there a scenario where they moved the left fielder, Lars Nootbaar, to center.
Well, Nootbaar, in my opinion, might be somewhere between 2 and 3 with regard to the 3 best center fielders. I think Michael Ciani certainly is better. He's shown that ability. Victor Scott has all the tools to be better. Lars Nootbaar is probably better in the corner, but it's going to be one of those situations, Frank, where I think it's going to come down to matchups. The unfortunate thing about this scenario is they're all 3 left-handed hitters. If just one of them was a right-handed hitter, that would solve a lot of problems. So it's something that I think whoever stays hot and really knows how to get on base, and that's where Nootbaar is really good at. He's really good at getting on base. He was the first guy for the Cardinals to actually do the challenge system on Saturday, and we had a little roving pool on thinking who was going to be first, and of course it was Lars Nootbaar.
Final thought. Nolan Arenado, how would you describe the scene? I mean, if you just showed up today, would you know that there has been that much drama surrounding him?
No, you really wouldn't. Nolan addressed every issue when he first rolled into camp, and he's been so locked in on trying to get his game back to what we are accustomed to that I don't think I haven't been around where anyone's asking the question. He just wants to play baseball, whether it's here or somewhere else. And so far, he's turned in that professional effort. His body language appears to be one that where he wants to play. He embraces his teammates. These are all people he knows. So this isn't a situation where he's going into a new environment and starting over again. If it was a perfect world, he would stay here. But I think when you think about being a perfect world, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge because there's so much of a future in what you need to know with regard to Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, because he really stirs that drink with regard to who goes next at that position and beyond.
Mike, great to be with you, and I want to let our listeners, our viewers know that Mike Claiborne will be with us throughout spring training on 5 on Your Side and 5+, giving us insight every day. Mike, it's an honor to have you on. Thank you so much.
Maybe your honor, but it was a pleasure for me.
All right, sir. Take care.